Hi, so we've had some questions in the group about backing cut files, so I thought I'd just do a quick little demo of how I do mine. There's several different ways, and I use a different technique depending on which cut file I'm using. So first off, I'm going to show you this one. I've got this title cut file. I love title cut files. I use them probably more than anything else. And the easiest way that I have found to back a title cut file is to keep the letters and draw around the negatives that come out of the letters, so you get your pieces of the right size. So I've just got some bits of cardstock here. This is from the Cartabella Flora number 3. Beautiful collection available at Lottie Loves Paper at the moment, and I'm going to just draw around my letters on this cardstock. Oops, she says. There's that one, and actually what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do them in order so that I can put a little bit of repositionable tape on there, because I jiggled that one. Oops, how come I can't draw a straight line even when I'm drawing round a straight line? That's ridiculous. So that's the I, actually the H. So I don't want all of the letters in the same colour, so I'm just going to do this H on this pink. And then I'm not going to make you sit and watch me draw around them all, and then it's just a case of cutting them out, obviously. Now where you've drawn round your letter, you want to cut slightly bigger, because then that gives you enough to stick round, an edge to stick. That's what I'm trying to say badly. So I'm just going to cut a couple of millimetres bigger than my drawn line. And then once you've cut it, you can see if it's the right. That's pretty much it. I think I've got a little bit too much on that corner, so I'm just going to snip that corner off. And then this one's ready to glue. So I use a glue pen, she says, if she can find it. I use a roller glue pen or this one, fibre tip, a bullet point pen. I've got Zig, but I understand Nuvo. I haven't tried the Nuvo one yet, but I hear good things. I'm going to buy those next. I'm just using these up because they're what I've got. Some people do this with a fine tip glue liner that you can buy. You buy the empty bottles and put your own liquid glue in. Other people use, I've got some Tombow, but I do find the nib a bit thick for this, which is why I prefer my pen. And then that's your first letter done. So I'm just going to do the I. And it really is, oops, I haven't cut it out yet. So with titles, it really is that easy. There. So here is the finished piece. I've put all the sections in. I'm going to cut out a middle. I've lost the middle of this D, so I'm just going to cut one out of the same card as the cut file and just pop that in the middle, but otherwise, and the same as the A, just to fill in those pieces. But otherwise that's that cut file backed by drawing round the negatives that you're left with once your file is cut. The other way, and this is obviously quite a simple design to back because they're solid shapes, and you're just backing each shape with one piece of cardstock. I'm going to do this one, just show you how to do this, how I do this one now, and this is a bit more complicated because I want to use different patterns in the different shapes on these surfboards, so that means layering up the pieces. The letters exactly the same, except I've lost the middles, I didn't keep them. So what I'm doing, I've already cut some of them here in the two colours. I want to use 3 different colours, so I've got, just let me make sure I cut the right letters. So I've got the R and the P left to do. So what I'm doing with this is I'm just turning it over, I'm turning so I want this colour on the letter, so I'm turning that over, turning the cut file over, so I'm drawing on the reverse. That just saves any rubbing out of pencil lines or anything, and if you kind of slip and draw on the cut file, it won't matter hugely, it won't matter at all. And then the P, oh, that's a dark colour to draw quite, and then I'll cut those out and I will stick these on in exactly the same way as I did the other ones. And I've cut these, I've drawn around the lines and I've cut these out slightly bigger so that they fill the gaps. So I've drawn around the inside line of the letter and cut round, leaving an edge so that there's an overlap to stick down. That's the same as when you draw round the innards or the negatives, or never quite sure what those bits are called really. And then that will stick, get it round the right way. Thought I'd done it wrong for a minute then, and that will stick there. So then the surfboard's a little bit more complicated because I want to do something a bit more decorative. So I want to layer up more than one piece of paper. I'll finish those letters off in a minute. So I've already made a start and I have cut the pieces for this surfboard. So I've drawn round and cut the top and the bottom sections, and again exactly the same technique, flipped it over and drawn on the reverse of my cardstock. The other surfboard I want to do in predominantly blue, but I want the flowers in different colours. So I'm going to start off, that's the wrong piece, by drawing round let me check how much of this cardstock I've got left because I don't want to run out by myself running out. Okay, so I haven't got that much, so I just need to be careful about because I want a stripe out of this as well, so just a bit careful how I use it to make sure I can get everything out of it that I want. So I want to do a big flower in pink. So I'm just going to draw around the outside edge of the flower because the inside pieces are not one. So I've just drawn on the cut file then, which is one of the reasons I do it on the reverse. The inside pieces are lots of different separate pieces, so the outside edge will give you the solid line that you need to cut it out. Now when you get to little fiddly bits here, obviously it's really hard because you lose the shape here, so I do just put a marking where the oops, move my bit of paper. I do just put a mark where the inside pieces are, but then you kind of have to guess, which is tricky. So because I've drawn around the inside outside, because I've drawn around the outside lines, I'm going to cut just slightly inside those lines. I've got a bit of, and sometimes I pop it back on to match it back up. Okay, because I haven't drawn a mark there, so make sure I go round that mark because that's the inside bit. I always err on the side of caution and cut slightly bigger than I think I need to, because obviously I'd rather do that and have to trim a bit off than cut it too small and it not fit. So if I'm not sure about a particular area, I kind of leave it quite kind of open so that I can trim it off. So here I'm getting to those middle bits. I'm just kind of gonna not really trim very much off that bit because I'm not really sure where it goes. So, oops, turn the cardstock back the right way, that helps. The cut file even. And that's not bad. Not bad. I have got some edges though. So you can see I've overcut it there. So I'm just going to mark up with a pencil the bits that I've overcut and trim a little bit off. Just going to run round with my scissors. I know that that edge is kind of a little bit too big all the way round, so I'm just going to trim it round. And then I'm going to stick this bit down first. Turning it over and matching it up from the front. Okay, now I can see that I've got a little bit here where I can see pink through, and that's not the right flower, so I'm just going to take my scissors before the glue's dry and snip underneath it. So that I take the pink out before it dries. And up here, must have missed gluing that bit. And up here you can see I've got a little bit that's overlapped, or I didn't trim it, so I'm just going to trim it with my scissors. You can trim it with a craft knife as well if you're more comfortable with that. I tend to catch the white, you know, the cut file edge if I do it with a craft knife, but other people may be able to control the craft knives far more than me. Actually, I'm just going to trim that. That's not quite stuck, so I can trim that by going in underneath. And again, that bit's not quite stuck yet. And nor is that bit, so That'll allow me just to trim that a bit. And then I can pop some more glue on. And quite a good way of doing that is if you've got a piece here, glue the middle down, which holds it in place, leaving the edges a bit freer for you to trim round before you put the glue down and commit yourself. So that's the first flower done. And then obviously I've got this second bottom flower here, which I would like in an orangey colour. So I'm going to again, same technique, drawing around the outside of the flower. This gets really fiddly because it's quite a small shape. And then of course you've got here, I'm just going to put some pencil marks in those little sections to mark where the shape goes. So here we are, I've popped the second piece behind that flower, and I've just noticed actually that I've got another little bit there that I didn't notice before, where the pink is showing through. So I'm just going to trim that back. Oh, that's been a bit stubborn, that bit there you go. So, and I've got the other bits cut, which I've done exactly the same way, flipping it over. So I'm going to stick the stripes on this surfboard first. I'm going to go for the pink one. Top. Some more glue on, and then there's the blue one. Just turn it over and check that they're in place. So then I'm going to pop the other two pieces of the surfboard on top of those. Oops, if I can pick it up. So there's that top bit. Bottom section, you can see that I'm going to have to trim that a little bit on the corner there. And then I've got the blue section to pop over on the other surfboard rather. And I've cut that all in one piece to stick over the top, rather than try and cut separate pieces to fit round the flowers. And then that also gives a bit of dimension, because it creates a bit of a raised effect. And I've noticed still that there's some more bits here that I haven't trimmed, so I'm just going to lift that and trim them. Oh, the glue, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, but it's amazing how you can think that it's all trimmed and then you lay it against that background. Finally. And there it is. So that's a bit more of a complex cut file backed with different patterns cut individually, but still quite an easy technique, oops, to do. A little blue piece down there. And then I shall make a layout with that at some point. This is the Go the Scenic Route collection, by the way, by Paige Taylor Evans, and that's available in the Lottie Lost Paper store as well at the moment. Thanks very much. I hope that's helpful. Really look forward to seeing the layouts that you make with your cut files. Bye.